All right. I tell you what, man. I don't know what it is about this this week, bro. Right. I don't know, man. Anyway, so earlier today, I had received a DM from Tom Brady, MK Tom Brady, right? And he said, he goes, please debate me tonight. I heard all your points and would love to address them all. Now we did do a stream. Well, he streamed it to his Twitch channel. I don't know if it's already saved it, so I'm sure you'll be able to find it over there. Because I didn't stream it at all, but it was over there. He had about 300 people, give or take, I think, watching as well. Later in the stream, Pig of the Hut came in, so I met two of these guys. I had no idea Tom was like my age. He's like 46. That's nuts, dude. Right? Because I said, oh, hello, young man, because everyone's younger. He's like, no, I'm pretty sure we're the same age. I'm like, bullshit, man, no way. So we talked about a lot. There's a lot of things that I did learn. A lot of things I've been thinking about since the chat that also it's just, and then I'll show you, I'm going to do my own little chart of how I think. Because I think too sometimes, and it's my fault, I probably don't explain things properly, or I probably don't explain like how my brain functions and like how things have a knock-on effect, and that's what I see, right? So we talked so much. He's obviously like, and naturally very defensive of the pro scene. And what came up a lot was this, and you can tell, like, it's not any disrespect, but he's like saying, oh, these games are made for the casuals, they're not for the casuals, casuals, right? And I've been thinking about this because, and I'm pretty sure I said, well, I don't think I'm a casual when it comes to Mortal Kombat. And Foxy said this. By the way, Foxy, if you do watch this, man, look, sincerely, like, after what Tom said about you and what you've done and everything like that, look, I'm not going to shit on that for you. You know, congratulations, you know, for putting in the work and doing all that sort of stuff. You want to have another chat? I'd be down for it, right? Hopefully it'll be far better. But this particular conversation helped me understand. Now, obviously optics wise, and that's the reason why I put the title in that way, because later on when Pig of the Hut came in, he mentioned optics and it instantly clicked. And that is exactly the premise that we have with different communities and what we see and what's really going on. Tom's saying, and then it was backed up by Pig of the Hut, saying that NRS or whatever, they don't, like, as far as like listening to them, they said they've done beta testing for the previous games. They never listen to what these guys say. That's what they said, right? They just don't take into account anything that they say, even though they're being asked to beta test or balance test these games, right? And I said, well, what's the point? What's the point in having the experts there to do this stuff? And then he's like, well, it's optics, isn't it? Because then you can say, we had these top pro players balance testing or beta testing the game, and so it kind of, I mean, when you think about it, that's really bad. That's using them purely for a marketing perspective. And I guess in some respects, it kind of also is a bit of a win-win, you know, because obviously then everyone kind of gets their back scratched. You know, they get, you know, a lot more attention, a lot more eyes on what they do as far as pro players and stuff. But it still feels like a scummy thing to do by the companies, right? You know, they don't really care. Like, you know, and they don't care from people that might actually have good input in regards to how the game's outcome is. But you can tell a lot that there's this, I don't want, it's a little bit harsh, and I'm not meaning any disrespect, but a disdain. Now, I consider myself a casual when it comes to fighting online. I do like to, you know, set some goals, personal goals, things I like to do, the way I like to play. And Pig of the Hut said something very good at the end, and this is true. He said, look, you know, you or anyone else out there, you play the way you want to play. He said there's no right way and there's no wrong way. Obviously, if you're trying to become top level, naturally, yes, there is absolutely going to be a lot more work involved, which is also something else that we talked about, saying that my philosophy is you should be able to choose any character and eventually beat any other character. And Tom's like, yeah, and some of that could be a lot of work and time. But then I'm assuming that is obviously coming from the top level play. You know, you're going to have to put in that time and effort to do it. Now, my sort of comments back to that was like, you know, obviously, you know, and what a lot of people are feeling is that they're seeing this top level play, right? That used to be only coming across. You said, oh, if you came across this person in MK9, you'd be like, holy God, like this is just wow, right? But I never came across people like that. I came across skilled fighters that would beat me, but I never came across someone that was like on a competitive level. So there's a disconnect in terms of like between the two communities. Does that make sense, right? But it seems like an MK1, to the average like MK fan or casual or whoever, when they're getting into the very low ranks, then we're having this, what feels like competitive high-end play coming down to the bottom. So they're looking at it going, oh my God, look, what? How is this possible, right? Because when you look at other games, it seems like, yes, the high-level players, you know, they're highly skilled, they're doing all this stuff, and now it seems like they've kind of like made that, but they put it right down here and said, this is really easy to do, right? Really, really easy to do, right? And so you've got the pro player. So I think there's actually 3 camps, because as I'll continue, I could sense this sort of disdain that they had for the casuals, right? And he's saying, oh, these are the people you defend. Okay. And I said, well, you know, obviously there's the perspective of someone that simply is a customer, right? But I'm also, like, my brain is thinking MK customers, right? He's talking about things like, oh, you know, from the beta, Sub-Zero got his ice clone nerfed. You know, or I think in another game they actually removed it completely because the casuals didn't like it. I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't want that move removed. Like I'm not a pro sports player. I'm simply just, you know, when it comes to online play, I have a lot of fun with it. I'm just a casual with that. I think there's more than 2 groups going on here, and I think it's and I could be wrong. I think when they're referring to the casuals, and you can tell because they don't really like them, like in the sense of the impact and sway that they have. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming the casuals that they're referring to are people who aren't generally MK fans. They may have picked it up for the first time, or maybe, you know, decided, you know, 10 years ago they dabbled a bit, and then now they've decided to pick it up and whatever. I'm wondering if that's who they're referring to as casuals. Now, Foxy said this. He goes, you're not a casual. Now, Tom also said, oh, it's like, well, because you put out videos and stuff, but I've been this way without doing videos. Like, I've always been this level of an MK fan, like, the whole time. Like, whether I did videos or not. Like, this is just who I am. Right, so I was a little bit confused. I was like, well, okay, well, I'm not pro, and I'm not a casual, right? And obviously I get the opportunity, thankfully, to be able to talk about like fighting games, particularly MK. So that sets me apart from somebody that doesn't make videos, but in my head, I don't consider the difference. We're still all MK fans. And no MK fan I know about is asking for the removal of special moves or anything like that. In fact, most of the MK fans out there who are having a lot of issues with this damage are just saying the same things that I'm saying. It's like we just want some defensive options, which then brought up the discussion, which O'Diddle was talking about, saying that all these defensive options were broken. And I said, look, I had no problem. I actually found them useful for myself, but I never got the explanation why properly what that meant, right? What Tom was saying is that at the high level competitive play, the defensive options that were available with all of these particular pathways that you could choose were actually being exploited for high level play, as in like tournament, you know, pro level play, right? I understand for them, that was a problem, right? And that's fine. You know, you've decided to take this game, you decide to make a career out of it, and you get to that level, and then you start to see exploits and things that are really problematic. But for the average MK fan, right, that's just loading this game up and having a ball and having some fun, right, they do find these mechanics very useful, right, because they're not trying to compete, okay? So this is where this gulf of difference comes in, okay? The casuals, it seems like it's because he's and Foxy said too, oh, you guys, you know, casuals just drop it, they leave and never come back. And I'm thinking, listen, I got a lot of problems with MK1, just like I had a lot of problems with MK11. But it's the modern MK game. I'm gonna play it. I know it sounds weird, but like, you know, it's a modern game. And I found my character to use in MK11, which was Cabal. It would have been Scorpion if they didn't fuck with his harpoon, right? Or his spear. By the way, I posted something on X about that. Yes, it has been referred to a whole bunch of things over the decades, right? Because harpoon means to harpoon someone, right? So yes, the spear hits them, but you've harpooned them. You've actually, you know, trapped them or grabbed them, and they can't escape. Hence, harpooning. Anyway, right? So, yeah, so Scorpion would have been mine, but they made his spear an auto attack. So I instantly I'm like, that really soured me, right? Amongst everything else. So I went to Cabal because, you know, I used Cabal. Well, I used everyone in MK9. And obviously I fell in love with Cabal when he first showed up in MK3. Loved him, loved his character, story arc and stuff like that. Always did, right? And that's why I was so surprised about, because I said to him, I said, well, why did Foxy rage quit? Because I said I liked using Cabal. And look, the thing is though, that look, I understand from the example, right, from what was said. He goes, because Cabal, and I think, was it Jackie as well, and maybe someone else, in MK11, they felt like you could play their way, like you got to play the character any way you liked, right? Because certain moves didn't feel like they were going to conflict. Because remember, in MK11, we had the choose your own, you know, adventure with the skills, and I hated that. I absolutely hated that. I just want my character with the full kit. Let's go, right? So that bothered me. But I found Cabal. I just loved it. I thought, oh, cool! I can do an aerial, you know, with his blades. You know, it was like his hook swords, or like his blades, whatever. Fuck, right? You know. And then he's got obviously the ground one. He's got his dash. I'm just enjoying the character as the character, and that's it. I didn't do insane combos or anything like that. I just had a lot of fun. But apparently in the pro scene, it annoyed a lot of people because him and a couple of others could be played however you like. The rest of the characters felt funneled into this, you know, they were corralled into this tiny narrow way, and it's like, nah, you don't really have much choice. That I can understand, but I've never been told that. And I'm only hearing about it because I'm talking to pro players. Much like how the defensive options, like for the general populace of, say, MK fans or casuals, were enjoying the defensive options in MK11, and it had helped people get out of stuff. But once it got to a high level, it obviously became an exploit. So they got removed, right? So then the casual, or let's put them to the side. The MK fan like myself comes into MK1 used to these defensive options, and then I'm suddenly going, wow, I'm caught in this combo and I don't have anything to get out of it, right? That feels very unbalanced. Okay, so I'm not asking to get the combos removed. Never said that. All I'm asking for is, like, can we have some sort of balance to that? Now, you do have, I know Reiko has a parry, right? And I'm actually, you guys in the, you know, in the pro scene should be proud. I've actually been trying to expand my repertoire when it comes to Reiko. I've actually been trying to figure out how to implement his counter parry move, you know, when I'm doing fighting, because it's very cool. I do love it, right? When it's enhanced, it actually leaves them there in a stun state, which is awesome, right? So those are those little things for me. So I get comfortable with the character, and then I'll look into them again a little bit more, and I go, ooh, so I wasn't sure about that move. Let's try that out. But that's just how I play. Like, I'm not trying to be a pro. But from like the normal sort of MK fan, not the casual, I look at MK11 and go, well, why did we lose all of those defensive options? It feels like we don't really have anything. And people go, oh, we got up block, you got flawless block. And it's like, yeah, but they don't feel as life-saving. Does that make sense? They don't feel as life-saving when it feels like, you know, you're being cornered or like, you know, sort of crowded over the top of, and it feels like you got a chance to come back. I really like that. So I got a lot of information, as I've just told you guys, on why some of these things were issues, but those issues were because of the pro, like the pro scene didn't like that, right? So I also was told that MK11, obviously, like, they never gave a shit about the pro scene whatsoever, and Foxy's saying this game is made for the casuals. And I'm thinking, are you saying that it's made for me, or are you saying it's made for the people that aren't necessarily MK fans, but that just pick up the game, play it for a bit, rage about it, say that they've got problems with it, leave, and then nerfs and things come in to fix the issues, but they're already gone? Is that kind of what you guys are saying? Because that's not me, right? I'm still going to be playing MK, right? Even if I've got major fucking issues with this game, I still play it almost every day, right? I've been mucking around with Havoc for a bit because he's a great character too, just because it's been a while since we've used him, just like Reiko. And so I'm just trying to find my rhythm with the character when I'm playing, you know, very hard and stuff. And I've done a little bit of casuals matches with that. So that's kind of how I am, you know, and sometimes I get excited, like, oh, I haven't really mucked around with Smoke or Reptile yet. So I do get excited about that. But again, like, when you come at it also from the perspective of the consumer, and because Tom's saying, well, you're defending the casuals, and I'm saying, well, I'm coming at it from the perspective of the product that you paid for. Is it fun? Is somebody enjoying this? Now, I understand what they're saying too, that you get casuals that and maybe this is also the reason why there is this lack of difference between that, because the optics from our perspective is when we look at stuff happening on Twitter, whether Ed Boon tweets out some of the bigger influencers, or you see some of the other influencers or shills getting all these handouts. And I think we, like Tom mentioned, I think something about, oh yeah, well, you know, shills is another issue or something like that. But we never got back to that. I'd be very curious to know like the ins and outs on that. Right? And by the way, he's a fantastic guy. He's a really nice guy, and so is Figure the Hut, right? And so I'm wondering if this instance frustration, anger, outburst, both with Odiddle, both with Foxy, towards me, is, I think there's more than just like a couple of camps here, and I think I'm starting to understand. They see me standing up for, say, the customer, right? You bought a product, you should be able to have a voice to say, hey, what you don't like and don't like. From the pro scene, this whole time, throughout all of these games, they have seen people that have come in who aren't, I'm assuming here, I could be wrong, if you guys watch this video, tell me, please, that you've got people who aren't MK fans coming in and going, I don't like this. Now, if you're talking about essentially like when people walk into a fandom that, you know, and then they get in there, you know, because they came to it because they're a fan of it, or they become to love it, and then they go, right, I'd like to change this, I'd like to change this, I'd like to change this. I fucking understand you 100%, bro. And it's my bad if that's the impression I have given you, and like I'm sorry for that, because that isn't my intention, right? Optics. The guys down here, the just like the standard average MK fan, and you know, if you want to include the casuals perhaps, but I keep thinking you're just Mortal Kombat fans. That's all I think about. The MK fans that have bought the game, they're not happy with it, they're speaking out. Not the people that are coming in who've never played these games before and have come across something like, for example, Sub-Zero's Ice Clone that got nerfed, and they're going, nah, this is shit. This is a bad mechanic. Take it out, fix it, nerf it, right? No, I don't agree with that. Right? You come into a fandom, you come into a game, right? And you start demanding stuff without knowing even a little bit. And now I understand maybe perhaps why some of these people are saying these things. Now, that doesn't mean to say that because somebody bought something, they don't have a say, right? Every single person, everyone, should all be heard. I said this in the stream with Tom. I think they agree. Every single person that buys this product should all have a say. But I think, from what I'm understanding from these guys, the casuals, not the Mortal Kombat fans that have been fans for however long and loving the game, none of us are asking for the removal of stuff. We're not asking for nerfing Sub-Zero's like Ice Clone or anything like that. That's not what I'm seeing from the MK fans. The general premise is basically this. What the fuck is this gigantic damage combo? How the hell are we supposed to deal with this? That's basically it, right? You know, especially people that came from MK11, they're like, what do we do, right? Very jarring. If NetherRealm and Warner Brothers are only looking at the casuals, not the Mortal Kombat fans, casuals that are coming in who weren't previous fans, or maybe just heard of it and dabbled a little bit in the past, and they're coming in going, oh yeah, we need to change all this shit now, this is not up to my liking. That I can understand, right? And this is where I support gatekeeping, 100%. So, in that respect, it dawned on me, especially afterwards, right, is that there is obviously a lot of different camps involved here. We've obviously got the shills, which are bad, okay? But this discussion was obviously a lot about the pro scene, a lot about the pro players, you know, and so we got to the point, it was like, well, how do we fix this, right? Because they said, well, you know, basically ranked mode is trying to emulate, you know, like a real tournament. That's why they're all upset. They got changed from first to 3, from first to 2. Now, I was happy with the change because that's what I'm used to in other games, right? And in this particular game, you know, you have, you know, because the combos are quite slow, a lot of the time is running out when I'm doing fights online. It's really nuts. It's crazy. You know, so a lot of things are taking a lot of time, and then if you get like matched with someone again that has beaten the shit out of you, you're like, man, this is crap. So you can either sit there and try and beat them again, or if you're just off your game, you're not feeling it, you'll quit and you take the loss, right? We talked about things like, well, what would you do to fix this? Well, it's I take the rewards, at least the cosmetic rewards, I would take out of Combat League, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of MK fans that don't care for online play. They love all the offline stuff, right? So they want to be able to acquire these things, but in the offline setting. That's fantastic. I fully support that. I think the Titan battles are the offline equivalent to Combat League. I'm pretty sure that is. Now in Combat League and MK11, you actually have time crystals that you can earn. They took all that out in MK1, and I'd be fine. It's like, look, if you want to put dragon crystals in there in Combat League that people can earn, and that's it. Apart from obviously ranking up, you can have the crystals in there. That's it. Okay? Because a lot of people like to play these games. They like to play dress up. They like to get their favorite skin if they feel like that character would be perfect with that skin. But they don't have the confidence, and they don't have the time, or they just won't ever really enjoy the online experience. But offline, they're a fiend, right? I know guys that are amazing fighters offline and have zero interest in going online. But that doesn't mean to say that they should miss out on that content. Put it in another mode that allows them, like say the challenge tower, the Titan battles, or whatever else, that allows them to access that same content. Or at the very least, if you take the rewards out, except for say Dragon Crystals in Combat League, obviously like online people that only play online, they're easily do offline, easily, right? But an offline player doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good online, right? Everyone has their own little things that they love to do with Mortal Kombat. Some of them just fully get into the story. Some of them fully get into just mucking around with some of these characters. Some of them get into the dress-up side of it, right? So there's a lot there that people all have these different things. So when Foxy's getting upset about the whole casual thing, they'll leave, and who's left is the people, the pro players, I can see his point. But I think that the problem here, and that's what this discussion today was absolutely wonderful, is that the casuals are actually different from the Mortal Kombat fans. To clarify, if you buy a product, you should absolutely have every right to say your piece, but it seems, and we see this in other games and stuff like that, or for example, what we see with movies or TV shows, where the ones that scream the loudest are the tiniest minority, right? And then the companies or whatever react to that because they think that that voice is everyone. And so then there's change, and everyone else is going, stop, we don't want this, like just, you know, stop, don't do this. But then it doesn't matter because they are convinced that the loudest people is the voice for everyone. Maybe that's why people are upset with me from the pro scene. And maybe the optics that I have been seeing for this particular cycle with Mortal Kombat 1, when we see Ed Boon retweeting, obviously, bigger influencers, things like that, it's free advertising, scratching everyone's back sort of thing, you know, and then there's no mention of, say, fixing the store or doing this and doing that, you know. So what that does is it creates this very negative image. It's like, well, hang on a sec, how come they can be heard and they can be listened to while we're all here suffering? And it's not because, like, again, from my point of view, it's like, I'm an MK fan, right? I'm an MK fan. Everyone else, everyone that I see that complains about, say, the combos, like the massive damage output and stuff like that, they're MK fans. Like, they're just MK fans, right? So it seems like there are more, there's more groups involved here than just simply like the shills, the esports people, and of course, us MK fans. But I was pulling, you know, and I do. And again, I'm on the casual side as well, because if you pay for something, you're not happy, you do have that right as the owner of something to say something. But if somebody, and again, this is what I've been hearing a lot from everyone lately, oh, you don't understand the mechanics or anything like this. Are these people thinking that I am the casual? Like how they've been hearing from the pros people talking about casuals for a very long time. If that's the case, that's definitely not me. I am just an MK fan. I've been an MK fan since the very first game, right? I don't want the removal of special moves. You know, if you want to keep your combos, fine. I'm simply just sitting there going, yeah, just add some defensive options so it kind of feels like it balances out. I'm not asking for the nerfing of like an ice clone or a spear or reptile's force ball, you know, or reducing the speed of like, I don't know, like Johnny Cage or anything like that. All I'm saying is like, just give us another tool that we can like go, hey, bang, cut it out. We're onto you, right? Now, I also found out this interesting fact too about the combo breakers. Because I said to them, I said, I see people hanging onto their 3 bars. What are they doing? And they go, oh, well, that's because they're using it to break the fatal blows. Now, my first thought was like, what are you talking about? Like, I can just 2-hit through a fatal blow, right? Or jump out of the way, or you know, just block it. Like, what's going on? And they said, no, it's when they're doing a combo and they've got their fatal blow ready, and then they add that into the string. The 3 bars for the cameo breaker allows you to break that. Now, I've actually never seen that online, right? I'm not saying they're wrong. I've just never seen it online. Maybe it is a high-level play thing. I don't know, right? I've never personally seen it. I also didn't know that that was a thing, because normally if I see someone doing their fatal blow, and I know the characters, like fatal blow, like the way it proceeds, no, obviously if it's Reiko, I do that one. You know, so if it's Reiko against me, I simply know I can just jump over the top or jump back, you know, or jump up. You know, like, it's very easy actually to get away from Reikos, you know. I think, who is it? Is it Kung Lao? No, not, is it Kung Lao's one that hits like low then high or something like that? Yeah, I got messed up by that one the other day because I'd never actually had his fatal blow done on me at this point, because I don't really come across a lot of Kung Laos online. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So next time I just know that if I'm up close, I just got to do that and that, right? And that's fine. So again, I learned something, and that's great. That's perfectly fine. So I guess like it was great. I learned a lot. I got to see the perspective coming from their point of view. Obviously, I think this is the thing. I think the pro scene look at casuals as the people that have like taken away all their fun. From my perspective, and what I'm standing for up for in terms of simply just being a consumer as an MK fan, right? And for the casuals, right? You pay for something, you have every right to say it. But I did not know that the non-MK fan sort of voice was being listened to so hard that it was nerfing like for example, Sub-Zero's ice clone used to be like the 3-hitter, so you go like bang 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 when he did the enhanced ice clone. If you hit it, you go bang bang bang, right? I thought that was fucking awesome, man. I was just like, dude, that looks so awesome. And they nerfed it because apparently it was like too powerful or too problematic. And I'm thinking, well, that's I'm not asking for that. The same reason when I said about who the hell was asking for these extra combos, and they go the casuals. I'm thinking, no, I'm not seeing MK fans ask for this shit. Who is it? And they're going, oh, just, you know, the casuals on the forums. And that's when I started to realize that there is like esports people, obviously the shills, right? Then you've got the MK fan base that are not pro people. And then you have varying degrees of people that want to play more competitively within that sphere, the people that prefer to play offline, but they're still MK fans. And then you've got this other group, which is the casuals, which is what appears to be who they're talking about. A group that has, from what they have said, affected change on the game. And if they're looking at these people coming into the game, crying about stuff, getting stuff to change, and then they just leave, that explains Foxy's comment to me. Now, Foxy, if you watch this, like, if you're trolling, that's fine, whatever. You act like an asshole, you sound like an asshole, right? But since this conversation with these guys, look, if you want to have another chat, I'm all down for it, bro. Right? I'm second chances and shit like that. It doesn't bother me, man, right? Because talking to both of those guys, especially most of it was obviously Tom, I got to see and understand perspectives, which then showed me things that you know, I didn't know, right? Now, I just want to show you this because I want to explain my brain, right? Now, keep in mind too, just before anyone freaks out, right? Because we were talking about, well, how do you fix all of these issues? How do you get it so that when somebody goes into casuals, they're not matchmaked with, say, you know, an Elder God because they reached that status in Elder God, right? But when they go into casuals and it only shows they got 3 wins, they're being matched with a low level because the wins are matching, like, say, the other person's skill ability, right? Or whatever wins they got. My suggestion was, well, maybe you could actually have a literal pro tournament that's separate from ranked, that people sign up for. And they're like, nah, nobody's going to do that. We don't want to have that loss of synergy between people going from casuals to ranked. And the other idea, like his idea was based, and I could be wrong, so forgive me, and if you see this and I've said it fucked up, just if you wouldn't mind the comment, is that, and look, other games do other things, like, you know, match you to only your rank. He said the problem is that every time, like the seasons reset, right? So everyone goes back to starting grinding from the ground up again. But what they should do is just leave it So that way, if you got to Elder God status, you're up in Elder God status, and you can play other people in Elder God status, right? Rather than pushing you all the way back down to apprentice. And so somebody who's literally just stepped foot into Combat League as an actual apprentice gets absolutely demolished by an actual pro, like someone that's hit the top echelon of Combat League. And that's why people go, fuck this shit, I'm out. Like, no, I can't deal with that. What the hell? And then of course in casuals, it's the same thing, because somebody might have 3 wins in casuals, but if you look at their name, like their name sort of plate, they could be an Elder God. So then they'll play at that skill level against literal low level players, which again, all the matchmaking issues and stuff. When I was talking to Breezy the other day, he mentioned the fact that when you play online, and even Tom, I think, said this too, like there's a lot of input issues. It's so different when you're playing local versus playing online. A lot of problems there. And look, you know, these are things that these guys know about. I've heard about the input issues for a little bit. And it's basically coming down to how do we make it so the casual / MK fan base that is not trying to be competitive can still jump online and have fun, but as a choice, if they want to become competitive, these are the pathways that you can take, right? So let me show you this. I've got this open, right? So this is the way my brain thinks, and hopefully people will understand. They'll understand this. Let me see if I can add. Right. So this is Mortal Kombat 1. We've got Mortal Kombat 1 right here, right? Okay. And this is me with my purchase of Mortal Kombat 1. Okay. So what we have is coming off here is one branch of thing that people like is story. This is absolutely A grade design. Isn't it amazing, right? Wonderful. Then you have the characters, right? This is bullshit, right? So you have the characters, okay? And that within that characters, everything could be from design to special moves, all that sort of stuff. But let's say we'll just make it simple and just go, oh, cool character, right? Or not a cool character, right? And that would include the simple visual design, right? Then you've got, so we'll call it other modes, right? That is a great. You can tell I'm a digital artist, right? That's an R, by the way. You got other modes, which could be anything from invasions, conquest, the crypt, mini games, anything like that, right? That NetherRealm themselves and Midway set a standard to. Okay. Then we have obviously. So I'm just trying to make sure we got everything. So then we have. Obviously, we've had it for a bit, so we can have the cosmetics, right? This is fantastic. This, like, watch out, kindergartners. I'm coming for you. Not in that way. I'm coming to show you up and show you how to do it, right? Cosmetics, everything from different colors, different skins, different gear pieces, all that sort of stuff. I just want to make sure. I'm covering everything because there's probably going to be something, right? Then we have, obviously, like, we'll just call it the shop, right? Okay, so we got the shop. And then we have, and then you've got online, right? Which then breaks down to, obviously you've got, like features. That's supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, right? This is, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm talking about. You can read it. You got features, which is everything from, does it have rooms, does it have crossplay, does it have Wi-Fi filters, all of that sort of stuff, right? And then you've got so the features. Then you got the modes, which would be anything from casual to ranked and then of course associated rewards in that. And then there's another one. I think there's another one, right? Oh yeah, obviously yeah, the combat, right? So when you're a fan of something like I am with Mortal Kombat, some people may be just like into the characters and the story. They're interested in the characters, their design. Let's add on to that their endings, like their little individual story, right? So they might be into like those two, yeah? Other people might be into just the characters and the cosmetics associated. They don't really care for the story, but they just want to play with their favorite characters against offline modes, right? And that's where the other modes comes in. Because some people might be like, yeah, I love the story, I love the characters, I love dressing them up, and I also like getting in and playing the other offline modes. Hopefully there's a lot for me to do offline. Some people like knowing there's an online shop with, and what should be, we also talked about this, shop only things. You can't earn or get in the game anywhere else, right? So that becomes a source of contention. The combat, well, you could argue that it also comes down to player preference, just like liking a color over another. But also, it also comes down to the fact, and I actually didn't get around to asking these guys this, that the engine itself has changed after MK9. Whatever engine came in with Injustice onwards feels radically different. It doesn't feel smooth, it feels janky and all this sort of stuff. That ties into the combat. That then leads to whether or not people find that frustrating or find it satisfying. And then that leads into looking at things like, well, if I'm caught up in, say, a gigantic combo, what combat options do I have to get around that? Yes, if I stop them from hitting me, sure, but it feels like if it's leaning too heavily in a more aggressive manner and not accommodating for people that like to prefer a more defensive play style, right? And look, I can play defense and offense with Reiko, right? But sometimes you also want to have some really sort of good things out there. I think I said to Foxy, and it was like apparently a point of hilarity with the fact that there should be like tutorials that aren't part of the tutorial. Now I remember like when you start, I'm pretty sure like with Street Fighter 6, they're up front about their new like drive mode instantly. And in the beta with Tekken 8, it was a front and center feature because they wanted you to know what this mode that was very integral to the game could do to help affect change depending on whatever's happening, right? I love that. We don't really have that in MK1, right? Some of these things that they think are game changers are buried in the tutorial. And if somebody's fairly confident, like I'm pretty confident with a Mortal Kombat game, right? So yeah, there might be a couple of features in there. And I know a friend of mine's asking, last night, he's like, yeah, but you love MK. I'm surprised you didn't know about Uplock. I'm like, no, I did the tutorial for it, but I just found it a feature that it didn't synergize with me. And it's not something that has stopped me from, it's not something that has either been a game changer or not a game changer for me. Because I've still managed to work around stuff, right? And you should be able to play the only way, you should be able to play the way you want to play, right? And then it comes to online, of course, with obviously the features available to have crossplay, rooms and stuff like that. And then you got the modes, which is then ranked, casual, etc. Now, this is the way I think. I am the center. I am the Mortal Kombat purchase. I am the Mortal Kombat fan. And because I'm a Mortal Kombat fan, I will be highly critical of anything that comes out with Mortal Kombat, and I will call it out. The online mode for ranked has cosmetics that are not accessible in other modes in the game. They are not in the shop, and the only way to get these cosmetics is to utilize naturally the combat system in the game by going into the online mode that is ranked and trying to achieve them. Now, not everyone is going to be good at doing that. I was very happy with my personal goal of just simply getting that Natara skin, very much like the General Shao skin. I don't care about getting to Elder God. I simply I don't care, right? The problem is though, I don't think about just myself. I think about other people out there who are Mortal Kombat fans who want, for example, right, let me just change the color quickly so I can kind of make it a little bit easier. They go, I love the characters. I want the cosmetics for my favorite characters. They're not in the shop. They're in the mode for ranked. Am I able to use combat effectively to get them? They check the other modes to see if they're available there as an offline preferred player, and they simply aren't there. So what happens is that people then become frustrated. They look at the cosmetics, which are they're not a point of like, oh, I get to show off online what I'm wearing. Well, that's great. But if the person is preferring to play the story, offline modes with their characters and doing dress up, they don't care about this entire section right here. Now, they might be well confident with their combat offline and do extraordinarily well against the AI. Obviously, fighting against a person is extremely different, right? They come over to the shop, they don't see it there, so they go, okay, well, I'm not interested in this online part. Why aren't they putting those things for me in the purchase that I have made in this part here? This is how I think. This is how a lot of other people are. Because being a Mortal Kombat fan could encompass one of these things. It could encompass half. It could encompass all of it. But if you find that you've become a really big fan of the characters and their cosmetics, but you're shit at online, then you can't ever get those cosmetics. But those cosmetics are only a show-off feature in the online mode. You know what I'm saying? It would be best to take those cosmetics that anyone in the game, whether they're a PvP player or a PvE player, if you want to call it like that, and put it into some ultra hard mode. That means anyone is able to get those things. What that does, it reduces that FOMO effect, fear of missing out. It also means that people don't have to stress about trying to become some super elite player, because what they do is they'll start going, well, the combat feels crap, because when I'm getting online in one of the ranked mode, trying to get these skins, I'm being destroyed by the very small pool of optimal characters with the optimal combos, and then the optimal cameo with the optimal combos, right? And so people are like, look, I appreciate that people love this, but I just want this shit here. For this shit here, right? That's all I care about. I just want to take pictures of my bitches, and I want to put them on the internet, and so look how sexy this is. I don't care about any of this crap right here. That's how I think. And not only do I think this way, because one thing can lead into the other, which then creates more frustration. And one thing, for example, to get the cosmetics from the ranked mode, you have to be extraordinarily skilled at the combat mode. And because the online features are missing drastically, we can barely curate our online experience. Then this creates frustration. It annoys the shit out of people. And then they'll just leave. And they'll go somewhere else where it feels like they are able to get what they're after in another game. Does that make sense? This is how I think, which, my bad, and I said this to the guys, it's probably my fault that I probably haven't fully explained how my, tism brain works, right? This is me in the middle. And so this is what I look at as an MK fan. And a lot of other MK fans will pick and choose the things that they really love over other things. And that is why in a game that released, I think Tom was saying this game should have had another 9 months, and it probably would have been so much better than what we're getting now. It really feels like an early access game, right? I agree, right? It feels like there's 35-40% of a game sitting somewhere on a desk somewhere, and they just forgot to add it, right? This is how I think. This is how I approach, especially my favorite fighting game. You have got to accommodate the MK fan especially, or people that love to do stuff. Say, for example, a Tekken fan, they love dressing up their characters, they get interested in Mortal Kombat. they probably never bothered playing online in Tekken. They just play offline, they earn their currency. You know, they got the loot box system, I think, or the chests with with Tekken 7. And they get to do up their characters with the cosmetics in the game. And they're happy as a lamb, right? It's the options. It's the options. So what you see with the optics, for example, if you're watching this, Foxy, again, you said you don't care about the shop. You don't care about how the characters look. You only care about this, right? Which means that fans of yours who might watch you because they're picking up some pointers a little bit because they just want to muck around and say the casual mode online, their main focus could be the characters and simply the cosmetics. And they feel like the only way to get the skins, which it is true, is in the ranked mode. And they're not feeling very good about it. They don't like it. They get really anxious. They feel like they've got all thumbs when they play. They never seem to synergize with what it's like to play against a human opponent. Me, I fucking love it. Love it. I really do, right? It's a lot of fun. And frustration. If you're not getting mad playing a fighting game, something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? Right? So my suggestion was, yeah, we need to take at least the cosmetics out of ranked. We need to put it in other modes, which I think maybe the Titan Maces are doing, like the Titan battles, and then simply just have it so that you could even. Some people have asked, look, just take the Combat League seasonal stuff, put it for $5 or $10 in the shop, and I'll buy it. That's what some people have said. That's not a bad idea. Fully support that. Because those people aren't getting online to show off. They're just doing that shit offline with their characters because they've done dress up. That's all. That's all they care about, right? I gotta talk to someone in a sec, so I'll roll it up right now. So that's basically it, right? That's how I think. And if one thing is soured, like say characters and their design, then people won't feel invested bothering with other modes, or maybe the story, because it feels like, well, it looks all shit, what's the point? This is how I think when it comes to this stuff. So anyway, it was a great chat. If you guys watched this, thank you. Again, look, if you guys want to reach out and chat again, I'm all for it. If you want, that's fine. You know? So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. I hope that helps. Catch you next time.